Welcome to the second live CK podcast of 2020. I'm your host, Leo Bias, and today we finally got our co-host in the building, my guy, my brother, Coach AC from Sunrise Academy. How you doing, my guy?
Doing well, man. I know this was supposed to be a weekly thing, but I'm busy. You're busy. We all get caught up in the season, but we got a lot to get caught up on.
So real quick, tell the audience, give them a little refresher of who you are, what you do, and we'll go from there.
Head post grad coach at Sunrise Christian Academy, one of the top prep schools in the country. We've been doing it for about 15 years. This is my fifth year. Good program, man. I think we do things the right way. We've developed over 70 Division I players in 15 years. We think we have all the resources it takes to be the best high school prep school in the country. So just trying to build and chip at it every day. So
awesome. AC, real quick, I want to go over the topics that we'll be discussing, which are three teams that need a trade. We'll go over that. Your five starting guys for both the East and the West. And NBA refs. I think it's a hot topic, especially here in Sacramento. They've been at the expense of about 6-7 games now due to lack of bad refereeing, according to the 2-minute report, which I think is silly. I think they should get rid of that, period. But we'll get into that. I want to start off with three teams that you think should make a trade. I'll let you go first.
I've got, and I've felt this way for a few years now, a team that's an organization that does a really, really good job. They're consistent. They have a good fan base, but they're just kind of like stuck. They surprise me every year. I think they put a good product on the floor, but I don't know if their goal is necessarily to win a championship or just to be competitive. But to me, the Portland Trailblazers have been disappointing. They brought back their core from last year, and I think they were third last year in the West.
Right.
But I think personally, let me get your thoughts on this. I think they undervalued Aminu. I think they undervalued Harkless, like guys homegrown dudes that they developed. Those 3-and-D dudes that along with Dame and CJ scoring the ball, they kind of covered up a lot of stuff on the other end. So they replaced them with Mario Hezonja and Kent Bazemore. So that's my first team. What move they need to make? I'd like to hear your thoughts. I got mine, and it's a blockbuster. It would shake the league up.
Uh-oh.
But I understand that's not necessarily always realistic. So what do you think?
Yeah, the Blazers have been a disappointment this year, especially after reaching the Western Conference Finals last season. Damian Lillard, my favorite player in the NBA. The guy has swagger. The guy is the leader, consummate professional. He has been the face of the Blazers for a long time now, and it just seems like it's only a matter of time before the trade rumors begin. I know he's been very vocal about staying in Portland. Forever, retiring there, not joining these super teams per se, but losing changes people. And at some point, that has to get tiring. And I agree. Aminu was a nice piece for them. He was solid defensively. Harkless was solid defensively, which is now doing this thing with the Clippers. Aminu, I think, has been a little bit banged up, if I'm not mistaken, with the Magic, who played last night in Sacramento. So from that perspective, defensively, they're a lot worse. And the only issue that I saw with those two guys is in the playoffs, teams go after CJ and Dame, and they say, you know what, beat me, Aminu and Harkless. And for the last 3-4 years, they went that route, and they fell short. And they fall short, it seemed like. So they just wanted to move on. And, well, it hasn't worked out well. But I'm interested to see what that blockbuster trade is.
And they fell short. Obviously, I think they had a fantastic season last year. They fell short, but don't forget like Nurkic. Nurkic had that drastic injury.
Yep.
If they have him, like hell, who knows? So, but if I put my GM hat on and I was the GM of the Portland Trailblazers and the Philadelphia 76ers,
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
I would do a swap of Ben Simmons and Damian Lillard. So I think
Wow.
it would give obviously Philadelphia like a closer. You know what I mean? I think they really struggle with spacing and shot creation at the end of the game. It would also give Portland like just a breath of fresh air, man. I think Damian Lillard has exhausted his time there. I think he's taken him to the peak of the mountain. And like you said, eventually that's just him having to climb that every single year and just to fall short. I think that just eventually like just wear on him. So
That's crazy. I would never do that if I'm the Blazers. I'm not a big fan of Ben Simmons. I
mhm.
like his game, but to get a guy like a Damian Lillard would just solidify the Sixers NBA championship this year. Joel Embiid and Damian Lillard on the same team with the Tobias Harris and the Al Horford, you should just already give him the championship. I think it would take a lot more than that, in my personal opinion, to get a guy like a Damian Lillard to the Sixers. I think a more realistic one would be CJ, something involving CJ and Al Horford.
Mhm.
But would the Blazers really do that? Would they break up that dynamic duel in Portland, who we all love? I really enjoy watching that backcourt play every game I get a chance to watch them. But sometimes you have to admit to yourself and say, you know what, this Nurkic thing isn't working. He is prone to injured. He's prone to injury. Sorry. You have a Hassan Whiteside who is extremely overrated. They took a flyer on him, and he is what he is. Right. His stats don't really result in wins. They don't translate to victories, in my opinion. There are multiple guys like that in the NBA who are guilty of that.
Mhm.
Um, I think it would be more reasonable for a CJ and Al Horford, especially since we're hearing some noise from his agent saying that he's not really happy of how he's being used in that offense in Philadelphia. He doesn't feel appreciated enough, which is crazy because I think when it comes down to the playoffs, that Sixer team, if they're healthy, they will be very, very good and a force to be reckoned with, honestly.
For sure, for sure. And just like you said, man, you said Dame and CJ are fun to watch. Like really,
Right.
really fun to watch, man. They have great footwork. It's one of my favorite backcourts in terms of like shot creation and just stepping up, making tough shots, closing games. And somehow like it seems like it shouldn't work on paper, but it just kind of does. But just like you said, they're fun to watch. But can they really, really take you there? If I'm a Portland Trailblazers fan, you get a guy like Ben Simmons. And it would kind of be a leap of faith. I think Damian Lillard is a better player than Ben Simmons, but you get younger. You get a cornerstone player that you can build around. For years to come. So because if they end up losing Dame, um, what direction does that team really go? So kind of gives you some insurance, buys you a few more years being competitive. And I know Ben Simmons is not everyone's favorite player, but
Right.
um, I think he does hold a lot of value. He just kind of he can you can build around him. You can put shooters around him, and I think he is. What is he? 20? He's young.
He's young. Hey, he's young. He's 22 max.
Mm-hmm.
I would say. So you had the Sixers, the Blazers, and who's that third team? Because the Sixers were one of my teams.
Mm-hmm.
Who's your third team?
I've got Cleveland.
Okay, K Love. I'm assuming.
Got yes, yes, but I think I really, really believe in Darius Garland. I believe they need to open up some opportunity for him. He's obviously been playing well lately, but I just think they have a crowded backcourt. Um, I think he's the guard of the future. I think Colin Sexton is really, really good. He's competitive. He brings other things to the game, but I think he takes opportunity out of Darius Garland's hands. So I don't know if you watched him the other night. Um, he does a lot of the same things as I wouldn't put him on Trey Young's level, but he does a lot of the
Right.
same things. He can play in ball screens. He makes everybody better. And I just don't think Colin Sexton really does that. So I would try to package Kevin Love with Sexton, and then try to get some type of forward. I couldn't think of a player, but get some type of forward that can play both forward spots. That
Okay.
doesn't necessarily need the ball, that can space it, but can play both forward spot, guard both spots. They just haven't really had that. I like Tristan. I don't know what you think. I know he's overpaid, but I like Tristan Thompson.
I
Uh,
like him.
I really do. Um, Obviously, Kevin Love's not happy. He's at the point of his career where he wants to win. But if you can get somebody that can play both guard spots both forward spots, maybe Jonathan Isaac. Um, you know,
Love Isaac.
I think that would be huge for them in their future. So
Would you think about if you're the Blazers giving up CJ for a potential, you know, Kevin Love and Young Bull?
possibly, yeah, absolutely. Obviously, money has to match up, and
Right.
but if I can do that, anything that the Blazers can do just to move the needle, man, I just think they're stuck. So
Okay. Well, I got the Kings, Lakers, and 76ers slash the Miami Heat. The Heat are playing really well, but I think they're one piece away from legitimately being the second best team
mhm.
overall. I would say that they're there record wise, but we'll get into them in a little bit. Sacramento Kings.
Let's talk about the Kings, man.
Yeah, I mean, they're everyone on the comment section right now. They're going Kings right now. They're going crazy. But before I do, I want to give a huge shout out to Climb Society Folsom. Join the 2020 challenge today. You guys can get unlimited cryotherapy and unlimited classes for only $169 a month. I don't know if you've ever done cryotherapy, coach, but I love it. It's great for recovery for all athletes. You go into the ice chamber. It's highly recommended for all athletes of all sports. And if you just want to feel better about yourself and you have some inflammation in any part of your body, cryotherapy will definitely help you. It's only 3 minutes and you get unlimited for 169, which breaks down to like $5 a day, which is insane because one session is $45. Take advantage. Shout out to Climb Society Folsom. The Kings, man. I got the Kings. If they trade Bogey, I have a trade proposal. Kings and 76ers. If the Sixers can somehow land Bogdanovich, that is a piece that they're missing. But if I'm the Kings, I would ask for Zaire Smith, who's been inconsistent in the sense that he hasn't had a chance to play, and he came out of Texas Tech, pretty highly rated, very athletic, can play defense, really good instincts. So I like that piece for the Kings long term. And then Matthias Thybulle, which as of right now, 76er fans think he's untouchable, which is funny because please do not make the same mistake that the Celtics made with Brown when the deal was there for Kawhi Leonard. Don't overvalue your young assets if it comes to if it comes to receiving a very good basketball player in return. Right now, the Sixers are essentially all in by signing a Al Horford, by having a Tobias Harris, Ben Simmons, and a Joel Embiid. You need that other player. Oh, also, shout out to Josh Richardson, who was a very good basketball player. But if you add that bogey to that squad, I think they'll beat the Bucks and they'll go up head to head either against the Clippers, the Lakers, the Nuggets, the Jazz. The Sixers need a Bogdan, and I think it would take a Zaire Smith, Thibault, and potentially a first round pick. Thoughts about that?
Uh, I think the first round pick would be hard.
Okay.
Just 'cause, like you said, two young assets, two really really good young assets. I agree with you on Smith. I think obviously they have a lot of guys in front of him, but he is really really talented. Um, I like it. I like it, man. I think it doesn't make sense for the Sixers to bring anybody in that can't shoot. You
Right.
know what I mean? Two guys like Simmons and Embiid, and Bogey obviously can do that. He can play in ball screens. He even showed some ability to like hit shots late, big shots late. So I like it. I like it.
Yeah, he's very ballsy. He's a guy who plays very hard. He can play make for others. He's also a guy that would fit on the Lakers. Talking about playmaking scores, that team really needs a guy like a Bogey because after AD and LeBron James, their teammates are just so dependent on those two guys to create for them. And as of right now, Rajon Rondo isn't the same player that he once was. I'll be honest, I don't think he's very good. They're potentially looking at a Darren Collison, Andre Iguodala, but if they can get a Bogey, which they would do for a Kyle Kuzma in a heartbeat, you'd be silly not to. But why would the Kings get a Kuzma when he is a volume scorer? He he fits, but again, he would fit, but I would like him if he would fit next to a Bogey off the bench or even in that same type of rotation. So it'd be difficult for me to be like, you know what, I'm gonna get Kuzma, but I have to give up Bogey. Does that make my team better? Is a real question. So I had an alternative. Why not have a Bogey and the Trevor Ariza, who's been terrible for the Kings? I don't care what anyone says. For a Danny Green and a Kyle Kuzma. Now that's a little bit more interesting to me. Thoughts about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that works for both sides. Like the Kings, they just need scoring. They need
Right.
scoring. They need shot creation. They kind of what they thought and hoped Marvin Bagley would be: isolation scoring, late clock scoring. How many close games has the Kings
A
lost?
lot.
Right?
A
Because
lot.
you can even tell during the game they're searching like who the ball should go to. They're figuring it out instead of like already having those roles set in place. But if you can get a guy like Kuzma, who's known to show up in big games, hit big shots, um, I think it works, man.
Okay. So you like that, huh?
I do. I do. Obviously, Danny Green's great. I would think it would take a lot for the Lakers to separate with Danny Green, just from like championship experience and but Bogey's pretty good, man. Bogey, I think Sacramento fans know because they see him every day, but I think the rest of the world and even the league, man, they don't know how talented he is.
Without question. But he's been injured. So has De'Aaron Fox for 20 plus games. So has Marvin Bagley for, I don't know, 25, I think, games.
Rashawn goes down,
Uh,
and
Rashawn's gone down. It's been a very tough season. The Kings have been, I think, the most injured team in the NBA. They came in with high expectations to potentially make the 8 seed. They're still in it, surprisingly, because the 8 seed is pretty bad this year. So anything can happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen. We really need Fox to stay healthy because he is ahead of the snake. But from a person on the outside looking in, how have you viewed this season, just overall from a coaching standpoint, from a player's perspective standpoint? I know you have uh, a very particular insight or a point of view on Buddy Hield since we know him on a much deeper level. I don't know if you want to expand on that. And I just want to hear your thoughts because so many people only see records but they don't have the context of why the Kings are struggling. I think, and I've used this analogy before, if AD or LeBron would have missed the first 20 plus games of that season, I think we'd be talking about the Lakers in a different way.
for sure, for sure. And I think rhythm is everything, especially in the NBA, man.
Right.
Just Kings just haven't been able to get in rhythm, man. I think Bagley really really needs these minutes. I think Fox for development purposes, like really really needs this. Obviously they can't get the same lineup on the floor any given night. Someone's going down, and that takes a toll on a team at any level. So, but like at some point, that injury bug hits every team in the league. You just got to find a way to grind it out and win the game. So I think they have more opportunities to just kind of like plug away. You steal a game here, you steal a game there. Veterans step up. Guys like Dwayne Denman and that's what's a little bit more disappointing to me is
Right.
like guys that they sign like you're gonna have injuries, and it's part of the game.
He's been
But
disappointing. He's been bad.
Corey Joseph hasn't been great. Trevor Ariza is checked out. Uh, for guys like Fox and Bagley, and shout out to Rashawn Holmes. He's been holding it down.
He's a beast.
But it just doesn't seem like the guy that they signed were like truly invested into the team and like pushing. They weren't a part of like last year's team, so they weren't like compelled to push the Kings to that next level. So I would be more disappointed in them than the thing that you can't control, like injuries.
Right. And from a coaching standpoint, since you have that insight, if you were Luke Walton, do you feel that he's approached this season with all the injuries, knowing that this team had the highest pace in the NBA last year and the fastest player in the NBA in De'Aaron Fox, who didn't have him for 20 plus games, decided to play slow in November, won some basketball games, had a good November, but then it wasn't sustainable, and they came back to life in December, which was an awful December, and in January he's been up and down. Would you have decided to go slow, having the Corey, or knowing that you have a Yogi who's also fast and just kept up the pace that way?
Yeah, you just gotta go, man. Like that's to me, that's where the Kings are the best. Buddies at best. Rashawn, that's what they're accustomed to playing to, and been their style. That's what Dave Yeager. I thought under Yeager they played their best basketball when he stopped coaching, when he knew he was getting fired, and they was free and just let him play. Um, I think Walton tried to control things and prove. I think he had some things to prove. Maybe his ego had something to do with that. Um, so I just think he got bombarded with injuries. It's not fair to Luke Walton, who got inserted into a situation, just almost like dysfunction. You got guys requesting trades, and so I think Luke Walton is a good ball coach. Has he handled this particular situation the right way? I don't think so, but he's also it's his first 5 6 months on the job, and um, I think the story's untold with Luke and the Kings. So just be patient. Just be patient, Kings fans. I know you wanted it to happen this year. Be patient. Just be patient.
Right. So my last thing is the Miami Heat. I think they're very good, but they're a piece away, and I think that piece is potentially a Kyle Lowry from the Raptors, who are also very good, surprisingly. Pascal Siakam took that next step. He took that next step last year with Kawhi. This year he's been on a different level. He has been a little bit banged up. That entire squad's been banged up, but their head coach has been really solid. They have a championship culture now, so they can just plug certain pieces in there, and they'll be fine. They found a great guy, and it's that rookie, man. He's pretty solid. He's a guard. I'm slipping on his name right now, but
Davis from
yes, Terrence
from
Davis.
yep.
He's been really good.
Yep.
I've been very surprised with him. I
So
think.
so quick question
Go
for
ahead.
you is going back to Sacramento. Like I think the teams at the top of each conference, like they've done a really good job with that, like development.
Right.
I haven't seen, and he's been hurt, but I haven't seen real player development improvement in Bagley's game. Like I haven't seen player development improvement in Fox's game. I don't see him. I don't see people going under the ball screen and him with confidence stepping up and knocking those shots down. I just see like play faster isn't necessarily the answer. Like
Right.
that, like you said, that plug-in system where you can develop guys like Yogi, you can develop guys like Rashawn, and like trust those dudes, and you plug them in and you roll with. I think Denver Nuggets have that plug-in
Yep.
system. I think
The
obviously
Heat.
the Milwaukee Bucks,
Yep.
the
The
said
Bucks.
Raptors. Um, but just to go back to your point, I'm sorry I cut you off, but I think you're right, man. Fred Van Fleet, another
Right.
guy. Pascal is a walking example. Um, would you take Van Fleet in that deal? Do you think Miami would take Van Fleet? You think that could take them to the next level?
Oh, yes. I think Van Vliet would be perfect on that team. I don't think the Raptors will trade him. I think they're willing to give up Kyle, even though Kyle is arguably the best Raptor of all time. Um, I just think because he got that extension it was before the season, I believe. So he has 2 more years left. Van Vliet's going to be a free agent, so they can't really take that risk if they're willing to give up some assets in return, because that's what it's going to take for the Raptors to give up either Kyle or Van Vliet, Leo Van Vliet. Got my twin out there just hoping, man. Uh, so I think a Kyle Lowry would put
I
him
think
over
they
the
both
top.
fit. I think you're right. I think both fit Miami for sure. Leo definitely.
Facts. I think a Kyle Lowry would put the Heat over the top, and it would be a very fun series between the Heat and the Bucks in the Eastern Conference Finals. Your thoughts about that? Do you think he's a guy that could put him over the top, or do you not think that highly of a Kyle Lowry anymore?
um, I think Kyle Lowry really surprised me last year.
Right.
Like I said, I think he fits Miami and what they do and how gritty they are, and just their overall culture. I think he's a shot maker. I think they don't need to bring anybody like Chris Paul that's just going to dominate the ball and stop the ball movement and
Okay.
but even potentially he's doing a great job in OKC, but potentially like kill the chemistry. Um, but I think Lowry over. I can't think of anybody else better than Lowry.
Okay. 5 Western All Stars and 5 Eastern All Stars. I had a tough time for the fifth in the West because yeah, there's a first phone call. Welcome to the show.
Oh, what's up, brother?
How you doing, man? You're on with me and Coach AC.
That's tight. How are you doing?
Good, we're good, man. What do you want to talk about?
I just want to talk about Buddy Hield's production, man. I feel like, do you feel like he can do a bit more? I feel like ever since he signed that new contract, I feel like, he's dropped to the form.
Okay, I'll take your question off the air, and I'll let AC answer this one. Appreciate you calling in, brother.
For sure.
Coach, what you think?
Uh, I think get Fox healthy,
All
which
right.
which would create better in rhythm possessions for Buddy. Get Bagley healthy, which
Mm,
would create time and space for Buddy. Um, and I think he'll be fine. So I just don't think they have a lot of offense out there. Like I think Rashawn's really good.
mm.
Corey Joseph is. I mean, they're playing 3-on-5.
Exactly.
Offensively. So
Corey's really hurt him this year.
so I just think that the court spacing is not great. I think the pace is not great. I think he's the same player, if not better, than he was last year. It's just
Me too.
it's hard to showcase those things.
Yeah.
There's so many moving parts. You know what I mean? So um, I wouldn't blame the player. I would just kind of, like I said, be patient. And again, watch those percentages shoot right back up.
No doubt. I feel like last year Buddy wasn't making that same progressions with a Rashawn Holmes in the pick and roll. Last year he wasn't making that play, and this year he is. And I get it. He's been a turnover machine in some sense, but it's kind of difficult when he's so easy to guard on offense because other teams, they're like, you know what? We're going to play off Ariza. We're going to play off Corey Joseph. We're just going to go hard double him every time. He's not really been good with pressure, let's be honest. So we're going to attack his weakness. And I think that's his off dribbling hand. Sometimes he tends to get too cute with it. But at the same time, it's like, you know what? If I got 2 guys coming at me at all times, it's going to make my life difficult.
Right. Or even just take a step closer to the ball and shrink the floor. You know what I mean? The smaller that floor gets, man, it's harder to make decisions. You know what I mean? Then when you got another all-star point guard to the right of you, and you got Bagley, who's a lob threat, like it seems to get better quality looks for you.
Right. We have another phone call. Welcome to the show.
Hey, I have a question about Harrison Barnes and his long-term fit with the Kings. Where do you think he'll fit in their future, or do you think they'll try and trade him?
And what was your name? Hello? All right. Appreciate you calling in, my guy. Harrison Barnes, another good question. I think he fits in perfectly. I've been a huge Harrison Barnes advocate. I understand the frustration. You're losing. It's been 13 long seasons of not making the NBA playoffs. So you're going to want to pinpoint everybody. Buddy Hield's been a scapegoat this year for everything. Harrison Barnes at times is a scapegoat. He had a rough December, had a marvelous November. You guys can't forget that. And then this year in 2020, he's been up and down. A lot of it is because of all these moving parts, and it's just so unfair. Look, I've been very adamant about Luke Walton not managing his team very well. But with that said, objectively speaking, I have to be fair. He hasn't had all of his players, and anytime you don't have your guys, you have to just do things differently. And as a coach, I want your perspective on that, AC. But I just feel like, yeah, the Kings should have better ball movement. I hate watching that 24-hour fitness type basketball that they play too often. But at the same time, to be fair, he hasn't had his guys.
Right. When you got, like you said, you got guys like Trevor Ariza who looks like he doesn't want to be there, and there's just not enough players out there. You know what I mean? I would be shocked if Luke Walton is sitting in coaches meetings or players meetings. It's like, hey, stop passing the ball, pass the ball less.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's just not a lot of players out there to like generate paint touches or generate good looks, or there's a lot of play finishers out there, not a lot of play starters. Like everyone's in a role a step too high. You know what I mean? That's just reality. It's hard to accept that, but it's pretty clear to see. So I'm sure Luke's trying to keep the train on the tracks, but he does he say a lot to the media, or what are you guys getting from him?
He says he wants to run. He says that the reason why they were kind of slow, or not kind of, because they're literally like amongst the worst in pace, is because he's trying to focus on their half-court offense and he's trying to focus on defense, which I think is complete bullshit, with all due respect to him, because I feel like running is a choice. And even when you get scored on, you can still run and push the pace. And I think it's such just a bad excuse to use. Like, oh, well, we can't run because they score on us, so we're not playing. Like, I get it. Yes, you can be more efficient in running when you don't get scored on. But to say that you can't run when the Kings ran all year long and they ran teams out of the gym, I think it's a little bit silly. And that's where I get upset with Luke, because he says we're working on certain things, and at times it looks really bad. They're so stagnant, and that was his MO his past 3 years with the Lakers. So I'm frustrated. But at the same time, I have had words from other coaches on the staff telling me that, and I hate to say it, man, and because I'm a Kings fan, but I have to be objective. This is my job. A lot of the times at the NBA level, we have to stop blaming coaches and start blaming the players, because they're the ones that get paid the millions. So what I'm trying to say is that it's a lack of low basketball IQ from the Kings players. Like the coaches are telling them, run. They're calling out plays. And sometimes, as you know, Coach AC, like, you've played basketball, you need to execute from the player standpoint. And the Kings, I hate to say it, they have a lot of low basketball IQ players.
Right. And I mean, let's call a spade. And like, if you substitute Corey Joseph
right
for De'Aaron Fox, your team's going to be slower. You substitute Dwayne Denman and Rashawn Holmes for Willie Cauley-Stein, you're going to be slower. And Bjelica.
Yep. Bielitsa.
Like, you're going to be slower.
Yeah.
So, like, run where? Where are we going?
Yeah. What? Welcome to the show. Oh, hold on. I see. Welcome to the show.
Hey, how's it going, Leo?
What's up, bro?
Not much. Just had one question for you. I've been discussing this with some friends recently. Do you think it would be wise or not to trade Marvin Bagley at this point in time?
All right. We'll discuss this right now. Appreciate you calling in, brother.
Sure. Thank you.
All right. The Marvin Bagley question, man. We finally got it. But yeah, real quick, just to finish your thoughts. It's not all on the coaches at this level. College coaches, high school coaches, they dictate how you really play. But at this level, it's really about the players, man. Right?
100%.
All right. Marvin Bagley, AC. Should the Kings consider trading him? I have my perspective on it, but, we want your perspective. because it's more of a broad national perspective, and it's always interesting to hear it.
Right this second, no. I think his value is as low as it possibly can be. I think if you even think about trading him, you showcase him. You let him play through. If he's healthy, you let him play through the All-Star break and get him touches and give him a look. Because you'd be surprised, man. Look at Brandon Ingram in New Orleans, man. Just opportunity, staff that believes in you, a healthy season, rhythm like we talked about, player development. Now he looks like a completely different player. So don't give up on those young guys too early, especially Marvin. I think Marvin's super talented. He's got a lot to work on. There's a lot of holes and chinks in his armor, but trade him for what? You're not going to get equal value.
Right. And right now, and I've been very adamant about this, the organization, they want to showcase him. Their agenda is to play Marvin Bagley, period. And it should be. They drafted a number 2. They bypassed a generational player, which hurts my heart every time I have to say it, in Luka Doncic, especially since I was on the Luka train for a good 2 years, talking to people that were close to him in Europe, and I was never so sure about a prospect in my life than Luka Doncic. And for some strange reason, the Vlade god, thought that his ceiling was what he was in Europe. Like, he wasn't going to get better. And that really, really rubbed me off the wrong way. I was like, bro, he's 19 years old, right?
Right.
Like, how sickening is that from a fan's perspective, thinking, you know what? My GM thought he wasn't going to get any better, that he couldn't coexist with the De'Aaron Fox, which is ludicrous to me. It's hard, man.
It happened.
Right.
Probably somewhere kicking themselves in the butt too. But like, take that perspective and flip it around. Marvin Bagley is not even 21 years old yet. So like, development, we just talked about how good the Raptors and those championship programs and organizations like develop their young players. Like, maybe we're not looking at the head coach of the Kings. Maybe we need to turn around and look at the player development of the Kings. Because those young players, they have a lot of young players that need to continue to get.
Phone call. Welcome to the show. Y'all always cutting off my boy AC. Go ahead. Hello.
First of all, the Kings front office is just absolute garbage.
Okay.
We can't take these mistakes anymore.
Okay.
And also, this with the Luka thing, I think all of us fans wanted Luka. Even the fans can see it. All the fans knew what he would become. It's no surprise. Not only with drafting bigs, I just don't see why there's even a need to draft picks with, the first few even picks in it even anymore. Bigs are hit or misses. You can draft them in the second round, you get the same quality as number 1. There's no point in these bigs. Okay? So, the draft mistake right there. Right. Now, you know what else we need?
What do we need?
We need to do another rebuild. Okay?
Oh, wow. Okay. What and what's your name?
Joe.
Joe. How old are you, Joe?
I'm 11.
11. Hey, respect to you, man. Really appreciate you calling the show. Again, love the passion. Sounds like you're very knowledgeable for an 11-year-old, and I feel your pain, my man. Thank you so much for calling in. Hey, see, that was an 11-year-old. Thoughts about that?
King's neck. He's right. I think I said similar things on draft day. Like, hey, you got to guard. You have to draft guards. You have to draft guards. You have to draft guards. In the top 5, you have to draft guards. So, maybe. Obviously, if you can rewind time, I think everyone knows right now. You take Trey, you take Luka, but it happened. You have a really, really good young guard in De'Aaron Fox. Again, just got to kind of develop them and roll with it. So.
Yeah. So these phone calls kind of distracted us from the topics. But again, we welcome him, and I think we were on the 5 Western All-Stars. I had James Harden, Luka Doncic, LeBron James, AD as solidified top 4. But my 5th, I had a hard time only because Kawhi Leonard has been injured on this bull crap of load management or Kawhi management, whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to give them the nod because I think they're the best team in the West. But that I wouldn't be shocked or I wouldn't be surprised if the Joker got the nod as well. What's your 5 in the West?
I've got Luca, I got Harden, I got James, LeBron James, I got AD, and I got if he can get his team in the top 10.
Okay. B.I.
Brandon Ingram.
Oh! I knew it was coming. I knew
Why
it
not,
was coming.
man? Why not? Why not? Like, watch a Pelicans game and tell me like he doesn't. He's for sure an all-star. But if he can get his team in the top 10 and a chance to compete for 8th place, they got Zion coming back.
That's exciting.
I think he has been like unbelievable. So it doesn't his production doesn't link to winning as much as it probably should. But again, he's young. I think he's doing a phenomenal job. I've been blown away. I really enjoy watching him play. I think he's trying to defend, trying to play the right way. Man, I got Brandon Ingram.
Okay. Brandon Ingram. Interesting. I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad at you. Starting 5 in the East. Who you got?
I got Trey.
Wow, really?
Trey Young.
Okay.
Brad Bill if healthy. Giannis obviously. Pascal if healthy. And I got Joel Embiid if healthy.
Interesting. So you value again. I am Trey's biggest fan, but what I'm hearing is you value stats over winning. Correct?
If John Collins doesn't go down or miss 25 games, all they have to do is win 6 more games, and they're competing for 8th place, right where they should be. So,
Okay.
I look at the player, as opposed to like the outside things that they could control. I think he's been phenomenal. I think they're right on track. I think obviously they're in last place, but I think he continues to get better. I think those young players continue to get better. I think Lloyd is doing a great job. I just think they got hit with some, like I said, every team kind of goes through that. Dudes miss games. But who do you have in that spot?
All right. This might put a smile on your face. It definitely put a smile on my face because I've been right about this kid from the very, very start. And if it puts a smile on my face, I know God Smile puts a smile on everybody's faces, man. Shout out to God Smile Dentistry, man. If you're looking for a new dentist in 2020, make sure to check them out. Show them some love. They've showed us some love. I got Bam in my starting 5, man. I got Bam in my starting 5 with Kemba, Bradley Beal, Giannis, and Joel Embiid. How about that?
Almost fell out my chair.
Uh-oh.
I remember the last podcast we did.
Right.
We both agreed on
Yeah.
Bam most improved. I always think about positions as well, like who plays what position. I guess Giannis can play the 1. I guess Bill probably can play the. It is an all-star game.
I got Kemba, Beal, Giannis, Bam, and Joel Embiid. I mean, front court, the way it is there is front court, back court. It would make sense, and I could see people saying, well, Jimmy Butler, but I'm like, no, Bam has been the X factor for that success to happen. So I think Bam taking that next jump has really elevated that team, which is what I got to get him the nod. And then Joel Embiid is just special. Obviously, just got a signature shoe. It's going to come out in the fall. Shout out to him, one of the very first bigs in a long time. I think the last one was Shaq, if I'm not mistaken. So, again, man, huge shout out to Joel Embiid, Under Armour. Now they got 2 marquee guys in Steph and Joel. It's going to be interesting to see what type of sneaker they come out with. Is it a big man shoe? He said he wants he wants the
high
shit to
top.
be available for everybody. So we'll see.
Mm.
So I think the other. Do you feel like Kemba has a good shot at starting?
He probably will. He probably
Okay.
will. I really like Trae Young.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, me too. Me too.
he'll probably be an all-star, but I think Kimba deserves it. You know what I mean? I may be a little bit biased when I say Trey.
All right. We've given you guys our 5 East or 5 West. Next week, we'll give you our reserves. We'll give you our reserves next week. NBA refs, last topic of the day. What do you think about the refs this year, bro? I've been very loud about once artificial intelligence comes in, man, we're literally going to have robots out there because I can't take any more of these biased refs giving stars certain calls or the discrepancies that we see. The Kings, the past 2 games, they've literally lost a game at the free throw line. Like, if you see their point numbers in the paint, they have outscored both of their opponents, but they've only had like 10 free throws in comparison to like 30 from the other team. Fox attacks. He doesn't get every call. I just feel like referees are just so inconsistent with their calls, and it's really hurting the game.
I agree, especially at the end of the game. I think uh, almost every other game that you watch is in the officials' hands. So they're calling in New Jersey. They're meeting every other possession. And I don't think the officials want that pressure. I just think, like you said, with technology being available,
Mm-hmm.
they have to use it. I think they're called to use it. And I think it is kind of, I wouldn't say ruining the game, but it is definitely affecting it. So um, and I don't even know the rules. Man, I feel like the rules change.
For every day.
That's reviewable. This isn't reviewable. And again, I don't even know if the officials actually know the rules. So they need to be consistent. Again, I would probably take artificial things like the replay and the replay center, and I'd probably just it was an experiment. I would take it out of the game. I would
Okay.
go back to like the raw, officials judgment. You know what I mean? Because ultimately, I think the game was fine before. So they're just trying to improve, but it didn't work. So
Yeah, human error is a part of any industry. I feel for them. At the same time, what I hate about the league is that 2-minute report where they essentially say, you know what? Let me give you a bigger reason to be more angry, whatever fan base you're on the other side of. And every time they do that, it's been 6, 7 times this year that they've screwed the Kings in the last 2 minutes in huge calls. That if the Kings win 5 to 7 games, they're in the 8th seed right now.
everybody
So
learned Luke Walton.
yeah. Luke doesn't get mad enough, man. No.
Yeah.
He's he's definitely not a passionate coach like say a Dave Yeager was, or even like a Greg Popovich at times. But again, everybody has their own style. I'm not gonna knock him for not being super loud or being a Doc Rivers, right? Who's always chirping.
Right.
Everyone has their own style, so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I just feel like it's a complete joke for them to be transparent, right? But in reality, it doesn't help the cause. I just think it's silly, man. Real quick, I want to talk about Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, youngest ever to get 20 rebounds, 20 points, 10 assists. I would trade Bagley in a heartbeat for him. Dots.
Special, man. One Sunrise Christian Academy story. Once upon a time, kid in Canada. We watched him in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't think he was good enough. This was before I was here. Ended up being Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. Ended up going to another school. Obviously making history there. Going to Kentucky, being a really, really good player. So I will never doubt him again.
He's nice. He's definitely special. We got Zion's debut on Thursday. Can't wait for that. I know you're a Pelicans guy, so what what do you expect?
Minute restriction. I expect excitement. I expect, just like you said, kind of putting the team over that hump, hopefully. Giving them a breath of fresh air. But my expectations aren't too high, man. I think he's got a lot of holes in his game. I think a lot of his game, affecting the game at least, is his motor and his athleticism. And you don't just get that stuff back overnight. So I expect 2020 and 10 first game. I expect an all-star MVP. I hope that he's healthy. I just hope for a healthy season for Zion Williamson. So expectations are low.
Luka Doncic is in Sacramento, California tomorrow night. Dallas Mavericks, Sacramento Kings. The Kings already beat them earlier this season in Dallas. That was a crazy game, hell of a game. Mavericks made a late surge and almost beat the Kings, but the Kings held strong and they won that game. Will they win tomorrow without a Holmes, without a Bogey, with the banged up Bielitsa, who put up a career high yesterday in points? He was out there killing, marking out threes like a Steph Curry. But Luka Doncic has yet to beat the Kings, which is hilarious to me. And that's the only thing Kings fans can hold on to. Luka's never beaten us. Thoughts about tomorrow's game?
I want to see Marvin Bagley. I think he had 18 and 6.
Right.
I want to see him just continue to stack days and games on games on games.
He said we haven't seen anything yet last night.
In terms of
everything, he said, I haven't seen anything yet about my game. I'm like, whoa, okay.
I hope so. Do we know he can score the ball? But I mean, can he be a double dude? Can he? It's just so many question marks with Marvin. I think Kings fans focus more on the development of those young players because if you do that, I think the wins and losses, the wins follow.
You have said it perfectly, my guy. Really appreciate you coming on. That's going to do it, y'all. We're at 52 minutes. We appreciate all the love and support. We'll see you guys next Tuesday. Any thoughts before we end the show, brother?
It's been a great season. I just hope that, injuries and resting guys doesn't affect the end because the beginning has been unbelievable. So really, really enjoyed it. Really enjoy you having me on. Thank you to everybody. So
that's going to do it, y'all. Make sure to slap a like button, share with all your NBA fans. We had a phenomenal NBA conversation. A lot of Kings talk, Laker talk, Sixer talk, all kinds of NBA stuff, man. Lots of nuggets in there, y'all. Also, we would really appreciate if you can drop a review on iTunes. That would really help us rank up higher in terms of NBA podcast and Kings podcast. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
Yes, sir.